Sorry for the slight delay there, guys. I was having trouble with GPX patch again, but I finally got it sorted. And I've had to restart the stream a couple of times just to reduce the amount of frame drops. But anyway, guys, welcome back then to this live stream. It is now time for the main event, the European Grand Prix here at Donington Park, and we are scheduled for 76 laps of action here in the Derbyshire or Leicestershire side of the East Midlands. If you didn't see what happened in qualifying yesterday, it was not the most eventful and not the most surprising either. In the end, Lewis Hamilton, yet again for the fourth time this season, took pole position with teammate Fernando Alonso in second. The Etihad locking out the front row with Hülkenberg and the EMR rounding out the top three, and he's hoping to hopefully give EMR a show in front of their home track. Giotto managed to do that in GP2 for them. Hülkenberg looking to do the same, and maybe even Vettel if he can come back from 7th on the grid. We're all scheduled for 76 laps of action. So before we start then, guys, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for the European Grand Prix. Here we go then. So on pole position, it's Lewis Hamilton with Fernando Alonso in second. Nico Hülkenberg starts in third with Valtteri Bottas in fourth. Kimi Räikkönen starts in fifth. Alongside him, Sergio Perez in sixth. Sebastian Vettel in the EMR will start 7th. Alongside him, Kevin Magnussen is in 8th. Antonio Giovinazzi will line up in 9th. Alongside him, Romain Grosjean is in 10th. Pascal Wehrlein will start 11th. Alongside him, Charles Leclerc is in 12th. Daniel Ricciardo starts 13th with Brendan Hartley in 14th position. In 15th is Max Verstappen. 16th is Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP. 17th is Carlos Sainz Jr. after being held up in traffic so many times. Oliver Rowland is in 18th in the Monster Grand Prix car. Esteban Ocon starts 19th. Scott Dixon in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, it's Ed Jones and Jean-Eric Vergne. And that is the grid for the European Grand Prix. So there is the grid then, guys, for the European Grand Prix here at Donington. And the weather, it is bright and sunny, so leave your predictions. But without further ado, let's get to the European Grand Prix. So, here we are then on the grid then. It's Hamilton on the left of your screens, Alonso on the right. Who's going to get the lead into turn 1 as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start here at Donington Park. 1 light is on. 2 lights are on, 3 lights are on, 4 lights are on, 5 lights are on. And it is go here for the European Grand Prix. It seems that Alonso's got a bad start compared to Hamilton. Hülkenberg unable to keep up with the 2 Etihad as they come down towards turn 1. Alonso trying to hang in around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. Has he got the lead as they come down towards turn 1? Heading down through the crane of curves, side by side. Got the 2 Etihads now then. Has Alonso got the lead? Hamilton still sticking with him. In towards the old hairpin. Räikkönen has gained the place from Hülkenberg at the start. The Etihad is still side by side. Alonso's been pushed off by Hamilton there then. Räikkönen takes advantage by going up to second place. Alonso had run out of road. Out of the old hairpin. Whereabouts is Alonso on the track? And there he is. He spun off down the corner. Let's see that from Alonso's perspective there then. We've got a good view of it from Kimi Räikkönen there then. Alonso goes for a spin at the old hairpin, possibly costing the team another one too. And well, Alonso finds himself on the grass, and well, that's that then for him really. And that was that really as far as they were concerned. Sorry about that. As the meantime, Alonso now rejoins at the back of the pack now. The meantime, we can see now then Bottas is taken third from Hülkenberg. So Hülkenberg's dropped to 4th from the start. Räikkönen now then attacking Hamilton for the lead. Into the Fogarty chicane now then. In towards the left and right hander. Unable to get the move done. Hülkenberg defending from Pérez. Into the Fogarty S's. Has everybody got through the corner okay? A little bit of locking up through into there. As everybody just tries to scander the way through. A little bit of contact there then. But no major problems through into this corner now then. As Alonso still trying to catch up back to the rest of the pack. Hamilton now then leading the way. Räikkönen still keeping touching distance as they go in towards the final corner now then for the first time today then. Around the final corner they go. So at the end of lap 1 of 76 here at Donington, it's Hamilton who leads, with Räikkönen setting the early fastest lap in second, Bottas in third, with Hülkenberg fourth, Pérez in fifth, Vettel sixth, Magnussen seventh, and Giovinazzi rounding out the top 8 as they go through towards turn 1. Räikkönen still keeping up with Hamilton as they go down through the crane of curves now then. And well, that's that really. I wouldn't blame Hamilton for that with Alonso, mainly because there was no contact involved. It will be investigated, but we'll wait and see if the stewards have a differing opinion on that as they go up towards the McLaren's corner now. Then a look at Perez now, then all over this, trying to go down the inside of Hülkenberg into McLaren's, but Hülkenberg having none of it, shutting the door into that corner and keeping hold of 4th place as Vettel now finds himself in this battle as well in the EMR as Bottas tries to close up to fellow compatriot Kimi Räikkönen if he can as they go through the double right-hander at Coppice now then as they go up towards the Fogarty S's now. Then looks like Räikkönen is starting to lose a little bit of time now to Lewis Hamilton as they go up towards the chicane as meantime Valtteri Bottas trying to keep up if he can as Hülkenberg going defensive again because Perez and Vettel fancy their chances. Magnussen now catching up to this battle through into the chicane now then. Down the inside went Hartley on Wehrlein there. Hartley grabbing the pace of Wehrlein into the chicane, grabbing 9th place from him with ease as Verstappen tries to take 14th there from Leclerc, which he does. A little bit of contact there between Verstappen and Leclerc there as looked like Verstappen got a little bit backed up there by Romain Grosjean as Vandoorne takes full advantage, tries to look to the inside of Max Verstappen. Hamilton now they're setting another fastest lap of 1 minute 13.187 now then as Alonso is now caught up to the back of the pack as they come out of turn 1 now then. And as you can see, Hamilton now then with quite a bit of a gap now then out in front. Räikkönen unable to keep up with him at the moment. These two unseen by the cameras made contact last weekend in Spain, sorry. And well, that as a result, obviously I think there's a little bit of maybe some tension between Hamilton and Räikkönen as a result, but we'll wait and see on that whether they've kissed and made up in figurative terms. We will wait and see. But anyway, now through towards the double right-hander at Coppice. And now heading down the back street towards the Fogarty S's. Sorry for the drop of frames as we go up towards the chicane now. Then Hamilton with quite a bit of a gap. Let's check the fuel loads before people start reminding me again. I do get quite annoyed by that, guys, because I do know. 25.1 for Lewis Hamilton, 22.2 for Räikkönen, 25.2 for Bottas, 21.2 for Perez, 39.1 for Hülkenberg, and then we have a 23.2, 25.2, 24.2, 22.1, 23.2, and then 25.2, 24.2, 25.2 as Jones puts a pass there on Vandoorne, 22.2, 23.2, 25.2, 24.2, 22.2, 23.3, 21.2, 24.1 as he passes Verne there, does Alonso, and 23.1 for Verne as now Alonso looks to the inside of Jones, maybe try and get Roland as well. No, not quite. Up into 20th goes Alonso there. Verne trying to take full advantage, but is unable to do so. Down through the crane as we go now then. Hamilton now with quite a big gap now then in front of Kimi Räikkönen as they go through in towards the old hairpin now then. Heading up the hill now then towards McLaren's. Hamilton now then still leading the way out in front of this stage as they go through the right-hander. And using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander of Coppice. And through we go then out the corner, using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching the Fogarty S's, the quick left-right chicane. And now up towards that corner we go now then. Hamilton trying to keep him back at the moment. Räikkönen doing a good job as out goes Romain Grosjean. What's happened to Grosjean in the Bud Light line? Whereabouts is he on the track? And there he is. And he's gone for a spin at McLaren's. Grosjean has made a rookie error there. And Grosjean has spun off out of control at McLaren's. And he's out of the race. And we're down to 21 runners as a result. Grosjean smacks it into the wall after catching it onto the white line at McLaren's. Grosjean out. And we're down to 21 runners there then. So Grosjean's day has come to an end as a result. So no points going to be coming Grosjean's way. Down to Giovinazzi to try and get some points for Bud Light Line Motorsport if they can. But the home fans are getting what they want in the form of Lewis Hamilton, who's leading the way at the moment with quite a sizable gap in front of Kimi Räikkönen as they come out of the first corner now. Then Räikkönen still keeping in touching distance with him at this stage. Same with Bottas behind at the moment, but they're still nowhere near pretty much slipstream range of trying to put an overtake on Hamilton if that is the case. If they come out of turn 1, as we're now on lap numbers. It's 1.9 seconds between Hamilton and Räikkönen now, then through towards the cleaner curves. It's lap 5 now, 76. We're now on then 72 laps remaining, including this lap for the race leaders. Giovinazzi's in. Why is Gio into the pits for? And Gio with a very early pit stop, and he looks like he's lost his front wing somewhere, unseen by the cameras. Anybody else sustained damage? It doesn't appear like it. Nobody else is in the pits, but Giovinazzi has lost his front wing for whatever reason. And well, as I said a little earlier on, Giovinazzi was the only hope for Bud Light Lime to get points. Take those words out of my mouth now. Now it looks like Bud Light Lime Motorsport's weekend has been ruined as a result. And well, that's the end of his kind of effectively at the end of the race. Well, I say that, there's now some mechanics in. Could it have involved Nico Hülkenberg is into the pits? He's lost the front wing. Did these two make contact somewhere as well? Because he's lost the front wing. And Sebastian Vettel's down at 20th. What on earth's happened to him? Was there a pilot down at McLaren's? We didn't see. As a result, because two people now then are in the pits, Giovinazzi and Hülkenberg interchange front wings. EMR's home race has gone down the toilet. And James Wallows is pretty much holding his head in his hands, just in disgust of what has happened here. And well, race effectively ruined for both Bud Light Lime and EMR as a result. And it looks like no points are going to be going to EMR's direction. There's a big lock up there from Lewis Hamilton, a double lock up into the Fogarty S's there, pushing hard. Will Räikkönen try and take full advantage if he can? Well, he sees he gained a little bit there, but still not within slipstream range of Lewis Hamilton, and has to go behind him at the stage as they go through the second to last corner at the Melbourne hairpin. But now then, Räikkönen currently second place at the moment. Who does that put in the points then? Well, Pérez is up to 4th, Magnussen up to 5th, Hartley 6th, Verline 7th. It puts Ricciardo now into the points. So a few people now taking advantage of getting into the points. Vandoorne and Verstappen are close to the points as well as they go through the Melbourne hairpin. And Ricciardo looking at any opportunity to pounce upon Pascal Wehrlein in front of him at this stage, as here is Sergio Perez, currently lying 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, and currently finding himself in 4th, a place behind teammate Bottas, who's currently occupying the final podium place. As now we head down towards the old hairpin on the track, using quite a bit of curb on the outside before going up the hill towards McLaren's. And Perez now then just flicking the car in before going around the right-hander before approaching the exit curb, and then up towards the double right-hander at Coppice. And so here is Perez now then trying to catch up to Bottas if he can, his teammate, but Bottas at the same time trying to see if he can grab hold of Räikkönen in front of these two, battle it out for P2 in this race now as they go up towards the chicane, flicking the car through the left and right-hander there then. And now in towards the Melbourne hairpin we will go. And now let's see what Checo is able to do as he tries to keep up with Valtteri Bottas as they come out of the Melbourne hairpin. In towards the final corner then we go. And so now into the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go. And let's see what the gap is like between Perez and Bottas as they head down the pit straight now then towards turn 1. And what is the gap between 3rd and 4th at this stage as they come out of the first corner? And so through we go then, and it's 2 seconds the gap is between the pair of them now then as they just go through the left-hander before approaching the old hairpin. Perez using quite a bit of curb on the outside there then as they go up towards McLaren's now then, as we're on lap 7 of 76 here in Donington. So we have 70 laps now remaining in this race. We're still yet to get to the first round of pit stops. Let's not forget, it does look like it's going to be a 2-stop race around here at Donington. And there's a bit of tyre smoke down at Coppice. I wonder if that's where Giovinazzi, Hülkenberg and Vettel got together, around about that bit perhaps. As now down towards the chicane we will go. Sorry for the drop of frames, as now we go up towards the Fogarty S's now then. And now up towards the second to last corner, which is the Melbourne hairpin, and going up towards the second to last corner we will go. And let's see what Sergio Perez is able to do. We'll see what the gap is like again between his teammate as they battle it out for third place. Hamilton putting a bit of a gap now out in front of the field, heading down the pit straight. And let's see then, the gap between Bottas and Perez as they head down towards turn 1 now then is now, let's have a look, in towards turn 1 we go, and the gap is going out the corner when it eventually comes up through the craners. 2.1 seconds, so Bottas has opened up the gap by a tenth there, because it was 2 seconds exactly last time around on the previous lap. And but Bottas now then seems to have responded to his teammate's pace as he looks to try and chase down fellow compatriot Kimi Räikkönen if he can, as they go through the left and right hander now then on the track. And so that's that really, as they go through the so now towards turn 1 we go, and Vettel now they're trying to make his way up through the field. Let's see how Alonso is doing. Alonso's now up in 13th. He's behind fellow compatriot Carlos Sainz Jr. in the shadow, as now they go up towards McLean's. And Sainz now they're trying to fend off from Alonso if he can. And so now up in towards Coppice corner we will go, the double right-hander on the track, as Sainz goes very defensive there into that corner. And Fernando Alonso now then, will he try and get the move done on Carlos Sainz Jr. as now Verline tries to have an attack. Sorry, Vandoorne has an attack there on Ricardo. One of them there just had a double lockup going in towards the chicane there, so that's not good for either one of their tyres. Alonso now then, will he try and get the move done on Sainz into the chicane? No, not quite. As meantime now then, Vettel now trying to look alongside to Roland, and unable to make the move stick there then. So as now, speaking of which, Dixon takes full advantage. A lock up there from Roland. Roland just saw Dixon last minute there and had to react as a result from Dixon there. Vettel loses a place because he was trying to find a way through on Roland there. So essentially he's got mugged by Dixon, but now Vettel having none of it, flicks it down the inside into the Melbourne hairpin, and he gets the move done to get back up into 17th place. But I think Dixon was just getting a little bit too eager there to get the moves done in front of him there. As meantime, Fernando still stuck behind Sainz at the moment. Could he possibly get him down into turn 1? Sainz goes defensive. Fernando thought about flicking it to the inside, but realised he was running out of time and has to stay behind for the time being as they come down towards the cleaner curves. As now we go through the right-hander now then towards the left, and now towards the old hairpin we will go. And what do you mean what's happened to Roland? Oliver, do you mean what's happened to Alonso, you mean? Because let's put it this way, if you've only just joined us on lap 1, why Alonso's down in 13th, he looked like to have run out of road at the old hairpin after being side by side with teammate Lewis Hamilton. Out goes Jean-Eric Vergne, down the inside goes Alonso, and he takes the place of Sainz to get up into 12th place. What on earth has happened to Jean-Eric Vergne? Whereabouts is he on the track? And there he was. He's got a puncture which appears to have damaged the suspension. Jean-Eric Vergne is out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners as a result. And that's that for him there then. And Vergne's race has come to an end, as Alonso now then up into 12th place we go, as he will now approach the chicane. And now towards the chicane we go now then. Sainz now being pretty much left for dust with Fernando Alonso as they go through the chicane. And now up towards the Melbourne hairpin we go, as Ricardo defends the inside from Stoffel Vandoorne. And so now in towards the old hairpin we will go. Hamilton now then, so goes up towards McLean's, and so now through towards the left and right-hander we go. And now using quite a bit of curve on the outside before approaching the double right-hander on the track. And now in towards the Fogarty S's. And so now in towards the chicane we will go. And Hamilton now then still continuing to lead the way. Räikkönen is still keeping touching distance at the moment in second place, as Räikkönen now approaches the second to last corner at the Melbourne hairpin. Hamilton still leading the way at the moment, as the Suomi tries to catch up to Hamilton in this race as they go up towards the final corner. And in towards the final corner there we go. Räikkönen, can he get the move done? Can he get close to Hamilton? What's the gap now then between the top two now then as they head up towards turn 1 on the track? So now let's see what the top 2 looks like down there. Through towards turn 1 we go on lap 11 of 76 now then. Here at Donington, 2.2 seconds now is the gap between Hamilton and Räikkönen. So that's how much Hamilton has got away a little bit from Kimi Räikkönen as they go through the old hairpin now then. And obviously still quite a bit to go before we get to the first round of stops here at Donington. As meantime now then, Vandoorne now starts to lose a bit of time now to Daniel Ricciardo. As now Alonso's next target is Charles Leclerc. So at the moment he's effectively in a shadow sandwich after passing Carlos Sainz, his fellow compatriot, a little bit earlier on in the race. Meantime, Vettel now then attacking Jones. He's got to look to the inside into turn 1. Will Vettel get the move done through into turn 1 there? No, Jones is just going to hang it around the outside and keep hold of the place now then for the time being. So that's that then really at the moment. And so that's that then really. So here are the leaders again. They're now coming up to a bit of traffic, and that traffic is in the form of Nico Hülkenberg, who of course had to come into the pits to repair a front wing, and I wouldn't be surprised if Giovinazzi is quite close as well. Hamilton setting a fastest lap of 1:13.116, so that's what Hamilton's currently holding on to at the moment as he just goes through turn 1 there then before heading through the crane of curves. And so through the crane as we go, and then through the left-hander before approaching the old hairpin, and then using quite a bit of curb on the outside before going up towards McLean's. Sorry for the drop of frames, as now through towards McLean's we will go. Hamilton now then still leading the way at the moment ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, who's, remember, still in touching distance at the moment. Pérez at the moment just hasn't got the pace compared to Bottas around this track, and Bottas so far has had quite a tricky season compared to Pérez. Pérez has had a better season so far than what Valtteri has had. Bottas has just not been getting up to speed so far, but so far it seems that this weekend he seems to have got his form back. So whether he's able to continue this from this weekend onwards, we will wait and see. But Bottas still having Pérez to keep touching distance up, because Pérez is still within his grasp, not to the point where he might try and put off an overtake, but we will see in due course anyway. As meantime it seems that battles have calmed down a bit. On seen by the cameras, Alonso has got up to 11th, so up to P11 goes Fernando Alonso, as he will now go up towards the chicane. And so now we will go up towards the Fogarty S's now then on the track. And so that's that then really. Must have lost some places then, Oliver, because there hasn't been a word, unless he got involved in the Giovinazzi, Hülkenberg and Vettel incident. That's the only percentage I had why he's dropped down, but it was not seen, of course, so do apologise for that. But meantime, Alonso now then trying to keep up now, trying to close up to Verstappen, who's now holding on to that top 10 places to come out of the final corner before approaching turn 1. So meantime, Lewis Hamilton just goes out of the coppice corner, and so far still finds himself leading the race at this stage. As meantime, Sebastian Vettel now sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:13.042. Vettel now holding on to the fastest lap, as Hamilton looks to be putting a lap on Vettel's teammate Hülkenberg. So Hülkenberg's race, after qualifying in an impressive 3rd place, has now gone down the toilet as a result, and now finds himself nearly a lap down from the leaders, as Hamilton just flicks the car in through the Melbourne hairpin. As now we go up towards the final corner, as Hamilton will now start lap 14 of 76 here at Donington, and heading down the pitch straight we go, and gives a moment. Sorry about that, guys. It doesn't appear like much has happened according to James, who was keeping an eye on it for me. But anyway, Hamilton now then still leading the way. I do apologise for the drop of frames still, as now we come up towards the final corner. Hamilton still hasn't put a lap on Hülkenberg yet in this race. As meantime, Ricciardo holding on to the final points place in the GOM. Effectively, he's in an AMP sandwich. So with Verline in 7th and Vandoorne behind him in 9th. So that's that for him really, as Ricciardo just clips the curbs through into these corners now. In the meantime, Alonso now on the backside of Verstappen. And these two were rivals until what happened to Martini after the South African Grand Prix. So now they're not anymore, as now Alonso goes in towards the second to last corner at the Melbourne hairpin, as now Alonso tries to find a way through on Max Verstappen as he will approach the final corner. And now as a result, Martini find themselves languishing in the midfield as a result of what's happening to them. As they come out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go. Will Alonso try and get the move done on Verstappen into turn 1. Verstappen goes very defensive into turn 1, and rightfully so. He keeps hold of the place for the moment. Alonso flicking it through out of turn 1 now then as he goes through the crane of curves. Will Alonso try and get the move done on Verstappen as they go down through the craners, and a tad bit of understeer there for Fernando Alonso as he tries hard to get Verstappen, and as a result he's now lost time to the Dutchman, pushing too hard to get hold of him that time around as they come up towards McLean's now then. And so that's that then really. And so now up towards the final corner then we go. And now coming out the final corner now then onto the pit straight. Hamilton now then will approach turn 1 as he now starts lap 16 of 76 here at Donington. 61 laps remaining in the race. 1.7 seconds is the gap between Hamilton and Räikkönen. You can definitely tell that Räikkönen is still keeping in touching distance with the race leader, as Hamilton's still having trouble lapping Nico Hülkenberg at the moment in this race, which could play into the hands of Räikkönen if he's able to take full advantage of this. And but we'll wait and see as the sparks come off the back of Hülkenberg's car there up through McLean's. And Hamilton now then trying to pull a lap on Hülkenberg if he can as he come out of the second part of McLean's before going up towards Coppice. And now through towards the double right-hander on the track we go. And will Hamilton try and pull a lap on him down this back straight perhaps now then before approaching the chicane? We will wait and see as now they head down the back straight before approaching the chicane. And Hamilton unable to lap him that time around. Probably will try and get him into the Melbourne hairpin if he's lucky. And now up towards the second to last corner we will go. Hamilton now then trying to pull a lap if he can on Hülkenberg, but again Hülkenberg holding him up at this stage, and this could play into the hands of Kimi Räikkönen if he's able to do so. Hülkenberg not willing to get out of the way yet at this stage. They come up through the final corner and heading down the pit straight. Should Hamilton pull a lap on him now then down this straight? And it appears that Hülkenberg is still not letting him go at the moment. This could play into the hands of Räikkönen if he's able to take advantage. Here is Kimi now then as he goes through turn 1. Again, sorry for the drop of frames. As now coming out of turn 1 now then as they head through the crane of curves. And now through towards the left-hander we go before approaching the old hairpin. And using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching McLean's. And Hamilton has now put a lap on Nico Hülkenberg. So that's that really as they come up towards the double right-hander at Coppice. And so Hamilton now then has a car between himself and Kimi Räikkönen now then at this stage of the race. And still quite a bit to go. Around about 7 laps time we should see the first round of stops, proper stops of course, not ones for front wing damage or whatever. The first proper stops will get underway around about 7 laps time I should say, so that takes it to lap 24. So around about lap 24 to 32 we should see the first round of stops getting underway here at Donington. As now towards the second to last corner then we go. Räikkönen now has the task of trying to lap Hülkenberg if he wants any shot at trying to get Hamilton in this race now then before approaching the final corner. And now out of the corner we go now then, heading down the pit straight. And you will now head up towards turn 1 on the track. And Räikkönen now then just going through the craners as he tries to get hold of Hülkenberg to try and lap him, as he will now approach the old hairpin. And now through we go now then in towards the uphill section before approaching McLean's. And now towards the right hander we go. And so Räikkönen now then, would he just put a lap on Hülkenberg? He's going to do it up at Coppice, but Hülkenberg not letting him go there that time around. So I wouldn't be surprised if Räikkönen is ranting and raving in the cockpit with that one, like he does in real life sometimes with blue flags. Just like his teammate Vettel, to be honest with you. So now up towards, in real life that is, so now up towards the chicane we go. And Räikkönen puts a lap now on Hülkenberg, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's lost a bit of time now to Hamilton as a result, as they go up towards the second to last corner on the track. So that's that really, as they now go through McLean's. Leclerc, those in 12th place, and unseen by the cameras, Alonso has taken 10th from Verstappen, so up to P10 goes Fernando Alonso, as he now tries to close up onto fellow Etihad employees, Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP, as Alonso is getting close now to the points. As Hamilton now sets the fastest lap, another fastest lap of 1 minute 12.768. So that's what he's currently set now then as they go up towards the chicane. So now up towards the chicane we will go, and Hamilton now then just going out of the corner before approaching, sorry, Alonso that is, sorry, going up towards the Melbourne hairpin. And so Fernando now then, as he will go through the right hander now then, as he tries to find a way through on Stoffel Vandoorne for P9 in this race. He's now into the top 10, but now he's trying to focus on points if he can. As they go through the craners goes Kevin Magnussen. He's currently occupying a good 5th place at this stage. As the meantime, Bottas now trying to put a lap on Hülkenberg if he can, as they go through the double right-hander now then on the track. And now coming up towards the Fogarty S is now then on the track. We will go, and so now in towards the chicane we will go now then. And at the moment there's Ocon currently behind Jones at the moment, struggling to find a way through on him at this stage, as they now come around the final corner onto the pit straight we will go, and still struggling to keep up with him at this stage. Here comes Lewis Hamilton coming out of the final corner himself, and heading down the pit straight now then, as he sets another fastest lap of 1 minute 12.731 now for Lewis Hamilton, but gets snatched away by Kimi Räikkönen now. This is Räikkönen now sets the fastest lap as they go through turn 1, as we're on lap 20 of 76 now. What's the gap between the top two? 3.3 seconds. We'll see if Räikkönen is able to gain onto that gap again within these next few laps now then, as they go up towards the right-hander. And the last time Räikkönen and Hamilton fought for a victory was back last season at Watkins Glen. I think it was Watkins Glen, when they both fought out for the lead, but Hamilton just had the edge on him in the end to take what was a second successive victory, making it 2 out of 2 in America, because he won Mexico the previous time as well. As they now come up towards the chicane, and Räikkönen now then just trying to get hold of Hamilton if he can, and now in towards the chicane we will go. And Räikkönen now then flicking the car in through the chicane, as he uses quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching the Melbourne hairpin. And it looks like he is starting to gain a bit now onto Lewis, so we will see if he's able to keep up. Meantime, what's going on with Alonso behind, and he's now right onto the backside now then of Stoffel Vandoorne as they come out of the right-hander. And will Alonso try and put a pass on him into Coppice? He's going to look to the inside. He isn't wasting any time whatsoever. Nearly close to contact there between the pair of them. So close. 1 minute 12.670. Hamilton now sets the fastest lap, and Alonso takes the place of Vandoorne. So up into 9th place goes the championship leader Fernando Alonso, as he gains onto 9th place there. Then the gap between Räikkönen and Hamilton now then 3.3 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if Hamilton pulled away a bit because of that fastest lap, and he has, but only by a tenth. It's now only 3.4 seconds, so he only pulled a tenth on Räikkönen that time around. And in around about 3 laps time we should be expecting the first round of stops to get underway here at Donington, as now Räikkönen goes up through McLean. Now through the right-hander he will go. And Räikkönen now then using a tad bit of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander at cockpit. And coming out the corner before approaching the chicane on the track. And as you can see, apologies for the drop of frames. And Räikkönen, see if we can try and gain some time back onto Lewis Hamilton. Fernando's next target for P8, which is the point, will be Daniel Ricciardo, a fellow Etihad employee, and the man that will be replacing him at Etihad next season when Alonso moves to IndyCar at the end of this season. So now Hamilton now then approaching the final corner now then. And around the final corner and on to the pit straight he will go. And let's see what Lewis is able to do then as he will now cross the line. And he now sets another fastest lap, a 1 minute 12.664. But Räikkönen snatched it back off him there then. So Räikkönen now setting the fastest lap as he goes through turn 1. And let's see what the gap is like now then between these two. So on lap 22 of 76, 3.3 seconds. So Räikkönen takes that 10th back off Hamilton that he increased the previous lap. So now it's back down to 3.3 seconds between the pair of them now then. Räikkönen going up the hill towards the crane of curves. And so Räikkönen now then doing whatever he can to keep up with Lewis Hamilton as the sparks come off the back of his car now then before approaching the double right-hander now then on the track. Räikkönen now then heading down straight before approaching the chicane. And Räikkönen now then going up towards the chicane now then through the left and then the right-hander we will go. And Räikkönen will now approach the Melbourne hairpin. And so now in towards the right-hander we will go. So I do apologise for the drop of frames still, guys. So they're now coming up to traffic, both Hamilton and Räikkönen are, as they now come up towards the final corner. So now let's see what the gap is like between Hamilton and Räikkönen this time around. As they head down a pit straight, Räikkönen setting another fastest lap of 1 minute 12.476. Räikkönen absolutely on it around this track as he goes out of turn 1, and he is pitting at the end of this lap then as Pérez now is into the pits. It's 3.1 seconds between Hamilton and Räikkönen, so he's taking 2/10 out of it. As into the pits goes Sergio Perez for his first stop of the afternoon. So Pérez is in, and let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for him. And he finishes his stop. Where is Pérez going to rejoin then as he goes trundling down pit lane? And Pérez is going to rejoin. Let's see. And he'll flick off the pit limiter. And he rejoins in 7th place, just in front of Daniel Ricciardo. So that's that for him really. So rejoining in 7th is Sergio Perez as they go through the crane of curves. And now in towards the old hairpin. And so now up the hill now then towards McLean's. And Ricciardo, he rejoined in front there then, but Ricciardo would like a piece of him. And even Alonso now is right onto the back of this battle now then. As Alonso tries to make his way up through the field. I wonder, of course we know that Räikkönen is pitting this lap and he's in now then. So into the pits comes Kimi Räikkönen for Suomi. And let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for the Finnish driver as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel and a clean wipe on the visor. Where is Räikkönen going to rejoin then after this pit stop? Again, I apologise for the drop of frames. And it is a 12-second stop from the Suomi mechanics. Where is Räikkönen going to feed out as Dixon's into the pits for Mars Grand Prix. And Räikkönen now then, where is he going to rejoin? As he'll flick off the pit limiter quite soon. And Räikkönen rejoins in 4th position. So that's where Räikkönen rejoins. And his next stop should come around about lap 52. So that's when he should be pitting. And Alonso now then is still stuck behind Ricciardo at this stage as one of the AMPs in the background is just coming to the pits. I'm not quite sure which one it is. It would be Vandoorne, I would think. In fact, yeah, I think it's Vandoorne at the moment. Yeah, Vandoorne's in according to that. So Stoffel Vandoorne into the pits for AMP Racing as Alonso still stuck behind Daniel Ricciardo. Through the old hairpin we will go before we go up the hill towards McLean's. And now Alonso looking to the inside of the beginning part of McLean's. Will he get the move done on Daniel Ricciardo? No, Ricciardo hangs it around the outside to keep hold of the place now then for the time being as they come out of the second part of McLean's before coming up towards the The Coppers and a spin for Sergio Perez. Perez has spun at Coppers. Alonso and Ricciardo had to take avoiding action there, and Fernando was unable to make the move stiff on Ricciardo. And oh, he hit. A Martini has hit him. It's Max Verstappen. Verstappen has hit Perez. What on earth has happened there? As they go out of the right hander, have we seen a similar thing from last season with two guys going through into here? And a little bit clumsy there from Verstappen, it must be said. So that will have to be investigated for sure, as they both are now out of the race, and we're down to, I think it's now 18 runners with the pair of them crashing out. So that's that then really. Verstappen out, Perez out, and I bet there'll be arguments down at Dorado and Martini, that's for sure. Yet again, as they are both being hoisted over the barriers over at Coppice, and that's their races done with as a result. As meantime, Alonso finally gets a place over Ricciardo because Ricciardo's made a mistake. And Ricciardo's managed to get a jump on him in the pit stops thanks to Alonso. And now Ricciardo has not lost only one place in the pits, but now 2 places because Vandoorne has rejoined in front of him now. But Ricciardo trying to get him back up into McLaren's. Can he get the move done into McLaren's? No, he can't. Vandoorne covers him off there as Magnussen now pits for his scheduled stop. So Magnussen is in. As is Bottas now. Bottas has made his pit stop. Here comes Räikkönen down the pit straight. He should go through pretty easily because I don't think Bottas was anywhere near him, as Räikkönen's coming into a bit of traffic in the form of Ocon. Bottas rejoins in third again. As a result of Perez crashing out, Magnussen should rejoin in 4th place then in the Suomi as he flicks off the pit limiter, and there you go. So Magnussen rejoining in 4th. Leclerc now into the pits, and it should put Hartley now up to a very good 5th place in the monster car. So Hartley showing some signs of showing a really good drive from him at the moment. Definitely showing his talent after winning GP2 last season. As Leclerc into the pits, as he finished off his stop. Well, through goes Hartley. And where is Leclerc on the track as he finishes off his pit stop? Where is Leclerc going to be joining as he goes trundling down pit lane? He'll flick off the pit limiter quite soon as Hamilton is now into the pits. Lewis Hamilton is in for his scheduled stop. Where is Räikkönen on the track? That is the question. As one of the Mars Grand Prix cars is in, it's Ed Jones. As Hamilton finishes off his pit stop, where is Räikkönen on the track then? Räikkönen is coming around the Melbourne hairpin. I think Hamilton will still be out in front. I don't think Räikkönen has done enough to jump him. As Hamilton goes trundling down pit lane. And Hamilton still rejoins in the lead. Räikkönen nowhere to be seen. In fact, Räikkönen has lost a heap of times. It's clearly showing that the traffic definitely has cost him any chance of getting up close to Lewis Hamilton. And now Hamilton finds himself with a healthy gap out in front at the moment as they go through the old hairpin. So that incident between Perez and Verstappen is going to be under investigation as we go up towards McLaren's. And just going through the right-hander there, then using a bit of curve on the outside before approaching the double right-hander at Coppice. And so now in towards that double right-hander we will go as Bottas now then trying to get hold of Kimi Räikkönen now then in the race. So now through we go then towards the double right-hander. And now heading down the back straight towards the chicane. And so now in towards the left-hander we will go, and Bottas now then trying to close up onto Räikkönen as well, because clearly the traffic is definitely helping out Bottas to the point where he's now starting to close up onto the backside of Kimi Räikkönen now then as they approach the Melbourne hairpin now then. Round the right-hander we go. Again, apologies for the drop of frames. I am fearing the worst. Is now coming up towards the final corner as Bottas, he's also stuck behind some traffic in the form of Ed Jones in the Mars Grand Prix car, so that will not help him out at all as they come out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. Will Räikkönen put a lap on Ocon? It doesn't appear like it again. Ocon holding up Räikkönen, an absolute treat coming out of turn 1 as they use a tad bit of okay then guys, we're back. I'm sorry about that, what happened earlier. I think did it just clip onto the fact that Alonso's come back into the pits for a new front wing? Because it's unseen by the cameras, but he had to come back into the pits to repair a front wing. I've tried to find whoever it was who possibly made contact with him. There was nothing on track. There was nobody else around him, so I would presume he must have gone off on his own accord. So Alonso has lost his front wing and he's down in 18th place as we continue now then. So Alonso now then through the old hairpin, and again another edit I've got to do tonight for the rerun. So now up towards the McLaren's now then we go, and Alonso now then finding himself down in 18th with it all to do yet again, and as a result he now finds himself a lap down compared to leader Lewis Hamilton, as he now tries to put a lap on Antonio Giovinazzi now then, as he heads down the pit straight now then towards turn 1. And so now in towards the right hand we will go, and using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching the Craners, and now towards the left hander on the track, and then towards the old hairpin, using a little bit of curb on the outside before going up the hill towards the towards McLaren's now then, and then using a little bit of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander now then on the track, and now using a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the quick left-right chicane. And so I'll start then really. Hamilton at the moment still leading this race. We're now on lap 32 of 76 here at Donington. We are close to the halfway point in the race, so 6 laps from it. So in around on lap 38, of course, we'll be at the halfway point, which is 6 laps time. So be aware of that then. As meantime, Alonso down in 18th. His first target to catch will be Ed Jones in the Mars Grand Prix car. So that will be his start point, and then he'll now approach the Melbourne hairpin. And now up towards the second to last corner we will go. And now up towards the final corner then goes Ed Jones, and then he will approach the final corner, and now onto the pit straight he will go. And Jones now then currently 17th, maybe feeling pressure from Alonso as soon as he tries to make his way back through the field if he can. And a disastrous race then for Fernando Alonso in the Etihad, as he tries to find his way back through the field by the end of this race, as he now goes down towards turn 1, and disappointing all round for him at this stage as he goes through the crane of curves before approaching the left-hander, and then up towards the old hairpin on the track, using quite a bit of curb on the outside, going up the hill towards a quick left-right chicane of McLaren's. And meantime now then, here's Sebastian Vettel now, who's up in 8th place. So Vettel now, after a comeback, has now managed to get himself back into the points. So Vettel doing a good job up in 8th place at this stage, as he's now coming up towards the back of Stoffel Vandoorne now then in the AMP. So that's that really, as we've not been catching up with Vettel that much, but he's passed Ricciardo unseen by the cameras, and he's got up into 8th place. The two AMP cars currently occupying the points in 6th and 7th, with Verline 6th and Vandoorne in 7th place at the moment. But now Vettel's starting to get onto the prowl of Stoffel Vandoorne in this race as they come out of the second part of Coppice there then, before approaching the quick left-right chicane. We've just passed the 4 o'clock mark now, and it's 4:05 here in the UK, 5:05 for most people in Europe. So now we go up towards the second to last corner. So now through the right hander we will go before approaching the final corner, and on towards the final corner we go now then. And will Vettel try and maybe fancy a pounce on Vandoorne perhaps in towards turn 1? Let's see what the gap is like between Vettel and Vandoorne now then, as Hamilton is on lap 34 of 76 here at Donington. Towards turn 1 we go, and the gap between them coming out of turn 1 and now approaching the crane of curves is now 0.9 seconds. So it is under a second now between Vandoorne and Vettel, as Vettel now trying to make his way up through the field, as he's now caught right onto the backside of Stoffel Vandoorne. Up the hill now then towards McLaren's, and Vettel now then fancies his chances at 7th place now then, as he tries to make his way up through the field. And now up towards the double right-hander at Coppice now then. Vettel now then trying to line him up for a pass down at the back straight towards the the Fogarty S's, and it doesn't look like again that Vettel is close enough to make a pass on Vandoorne this time around. Vandoorne getting some sparks coming off the back of the car there, and now using quite a bit of curve on the outside before approaching the Melbourne hairpin. Vettel not close enough at the moment this time around to attack the Audi powered AMP at this stage. As here is Lewis Hamilton now then, he's going to come up to lap Nico Hülkenberg very soon. As meantime, here's Alonso through the old hairpin, still not up to the back of Ed Jones yet. At the moment the man that's right up behind Ed Jones is Kevin Magnussen, who is trying to lap at the moment, and Magnussen having a hard time trying to lap the Emirates driver at this stage, but he finally finds a way through down the inside and gets the move done. So Magnussen through he goes, and so that's that for him. As meantime now then, Bottas trying to pull a lap on Ocon and Dixon in front, those two fighting it out for P15 at the moment in this race. So that's that for him. Hamilton now then out the final corner, starts lap 36 of 76 here at Donington, as we now have 41 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, as Hamilton goes through turn 1 using quite a bit of curb on the outside before going through Craners, and now through the left-hander we will go, and so now through the old hairpin. Hamilton still leading the way at this stage. He's pretty much got nobody around him, and looking good at the moment to take victory, but we've still got a long way to go in this race. Anything could happen in Grand Prix racing. Usually Stoffel still need to get to the second round of pit stops yet, so like I said, anything could still happen in this Grand Prix. As meantime, here is Alonso at the moment now. They're currently in P number 18, trying to close up onto Ed Jones as he tries to mount take 2 of his comeback now then, as he goes up the hill towards McLean's. And so now sparks coming out the back of his car now then, going through the right-hander, using a bit of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander. So around the corner he goes, and Hamilton now, Alonso now then, there is Jones down the back straight. So Alonso getting closer now to the backside of Jones, as he will now approach the Fogarty S's now then. So through he will go. Meantime now then, look at Vettel as this battle for 7th still intensifies. Vettel now then all over the backside of Stoffel Vandoorne as we go up towards Coppice, as Vandoorne goes quite defensive there on the German. Through the double right-hander at Coppice now then we go up towards the chicane. Will Vettel get the move done on Stoffel Vandoorne as they go down the straight towards the chicane? Vettel looking to the inside, switches it back to the outside because Vandoorne was defending. Will Vettel try and dive it down the inside into the S's? No, doesn't think about it. Maybe try and line him up for a pass up in towards the Melbourne hairpin perhaps, if he's able to get a run out of him there then. So Vettel now then in the slipstream of Stoffel Vandoorne up towards the Melbourne hairpin. Would he try and dive it down the inside into this corner? No, he doesn't. He thinks better of it and stays behind Vandoorne at this time. So that's that for him really, as they now come up towards the final corner. And Vettel now, they maybe try and get a run on Vandoorne if he can down the pit straight, as Fairline's still trying to catch up to Hartley in front, who's currently occupying 5th in the monster car. So meantime now then, Vettel in the slipstream of Vandoorne. Will he get the move done? Vandoorne defending the inside, and rightfully so, keeping hold of the place for the moment as they go through the Craner curves. So now then they go down through now going through the left-hander, now going through the right-hander, and so now going through the left-hander, and now as you can see Vettel now then all over the backside of Stoffel Vandoorne as he tries to get the move done on him there then. Will he get him up into Coppice? Vettel finding a gap down the inside, nearly close to contact, similar to what Alonso had with Ricciardo. I think it was lower on. I think it actually was Vandoorne as well. But Vettel gets the move done, and Vettel up into 7th place. Vandoorne making it tough for drivers to get past at Coppice, as much as we said. But so far, Vettel and Alonso proved it to be successful so far. And Vettel up into 7th place now then in this race. So that's that really. Here's Hamilton now then up through the right-hander now then, a double right-hander at Coppice, as he continues to lead the way out in front at the moment. As meantime, here is Alonso now then on the backside of Ed Jones, trying to find the way through on him if he can, maybe get him up through McLean's before even having a chance at a trying to make a very good overtake. Down the inside he goes on. Jones, will he get the move done at McLaren's? And yes, he does. Easy peasy for Alonso. Up into 17th place goes the championship leader at the moment. And I'm trying to work out in my head what will this mean for the Drivers' Championship if it remained like this at the moment. I'm trying to work it out in my head. I think Hamilton might lead the championship. I could be wrong. I don't know if Alonso was over 10 points ahead going into this race. I don't think he was. But I think if it stays like this, Hamilton will lead the Drivers' Championship. So we will wait and see on that. I could be wrong. My maths could be a bit clueless there. But we'll wait and see on that. But meantime, here is Hamilton at the moment. He's now on lap 39 of 76 here in at Europe and the European Grand Prix. So we now have 38 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. And so we are nowhere near yet going towards the second round of stops. It should be around about the lap 50s area. We should see the second round of stops getting underway for all the drivers. I think all the drivers are planning to do a 2-stop around here at Donington. And that doesn't seem to be changing at all around the pack at the moment. There's Hülkenberg now then. He's up into 12th place now, trying to close up onto Carlos Sainz Jr., his Renault teammate in real life. As now Hülkenberg will now approach Sainz up towards the right-hander, and then both of them are even closing up onto Leclerc as well, who's occupied 10th, whilst at the same time closing out onto Ricciardo. So it could be a four-way scrap for 9th between these four quite soon if that's the case. Meantime, Vettel, who's also on a fight back along with Alonso, is now starting to close up on fellow compatriot Pascal Wehrlein as they now go down through the crane of curves. And the gap between him and Wehrlein is 2.1 seconds. So that's how it currently looks at this stage. As Vettel now then just negotiates through the old hairpin using a tad bit of curb on the outside there then before approaching McLaren's. And Vettel now then can sense an opportunity for I believe this is P6 in the race. As Vettel now then goes up towards the double right-hander at Coppice. And so now through he will go now then. And so now up towards the chicane. At the same time, Wehrlein closing up to Hartley as well. So Hartley currently in 5th place at the moment in the monster car. Shows how much development that team has done ever since Daniel Ricciardo took over from the South African Grand Prix onwards. And we're still yet to know what the name is going to be next season. Hopefully we'll get an answer before the end of the season. Probably not yet. It's still pretty much new for them, but I would presume probably towards the end of the season we would expect probably an announcement on what their names are going to be next season, because we know that they are going to get rebranded next season. Monster Grand Prix name will be ditched at the end of season 4. As now heading down the pit straight we go now then, as Hartley now then currently in 5th place. As now here is Sebastian Vettel. In fact, it looks like Hartley's now starting to get away a bit now from Pascal Wehrlein. The gap between Wehrlein and Vettel now then through towards Red Gate now it is 1.1 seconds. That's how it currently looks at this stage. That's a lot of time. Vettel was taken out of Wehrlein's lead there, as Vettel continues to fly and looks to get some points in this race if he can, going out of the old hairpin up the hill towards the McLaren's now then through the left and right hander we will go. So meantime now Hülkenberg all over the backside now then of Carlos Sainz as he tries to grab 11 from him there then, as both of them go through the old hairpin now then up the hill towards McLaren's. And Hülkenberg looking to pounce upon any opportunity he can in this race as they go around the right-hander now then on the track. Here is Hamilton, the race leader. He's currently on lap 41 of the race, and he'll be soon coming up to lap these guys pretty soon now then in this race, as he just flicks the car in through the double right-hander at Coppice. As Räikkönen in 2nd place looking very lonely. Bottas also looking lonely in 3rd. There's Magnussen lonely in 4th. Now here is Fernando Alonso now all over the backside of Dixon, so he's already cleared past one Mars Grand Prix car that we caught on camera, and now he's on the back of the other one, this time in the form of Scott Dixon. And whether Dixon will be part of the mid-season test tomorrow, you'll have to find out tomorrow as part of an Eldorado. We will see. Yes, you did hear there. For any teams wondering, there is a mid-season test tomorrow at the Red Bull Ring. There's still some teams that need to get their drivers from. Remember, you can only use your drivers and test drivers for it, so like the pre-season test. And it's 1 day of mid-season testing, and it takes place tomorrow at the Red Bull Ring. So if you haven't told me your drivers for that day tomorrow, which starts at 4 PM BST, please let me know before 2 PM tomorrow at least, as Alonso makes it easy down the back straight as he gets the move done on Jones. It shows how much power that BMW has compared to the Porsche engine as well. And now up into what is 16th place for Fernando Alonso. Next target for him is Esteban Ocon, who's currently holding up 4th place man Kevin Magnussen at the moment in this race. So that's that for him. Meantime, now then, Hülkenberg's on the backside of Sainz, but Vettel not close enough to Wehrlein yet, so we'll get on to Sainz and Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg had a little look at Sainz there up in the McLaren's, but Sainz shut the door there. Hulkenberg now then, will he try and get a run on it now then? Up in towards Coppice corner now then. Hulkenberg down the inside. Sainz trying to shut the door on him there. And nearly close to contact again through to Coppice. Everybody driving so well around there at the moment. If they're pulling off, overtake side by side go Hulkenberg and Sainz. And Hulkenberg gets the edge on Sainz, and up into P11 goes Nico Hülkenberg as now Hamilton puts a lap on Carlos Sainz Jr., the man he was fighting for second with last weekend at the Spanish Grand Prix. But now it's back to reality for Carlos Sainz as he finds himself down in the midfield. Same for teammate Charles Leclerc in the shadow. And here is Fernando Alonso then up in 16th, now trying to close up onto Ocon if he can, as we now look at this battle for 6th between Wehrlein and Vettel. Wehrlein defending the inside there from Sebastian Vettel as they go out of Red Gate now then, and heading down through the crane of curves. Vettel trying to get a move done on Pascal if he can, as they go through the left-hander before approaching the old hairpin now then, using quite a bit of curb on the outside before going up the hill towards McLaren's down there. Vettel having a look down the inside of Wehrlein. Would he get the move done? No, not quite. Wehrlein just able to hang it around the outside and keep hold of 6th place for the moment now then, as they go up towards Coppice. Will Vettel try and get a run on Wehrlein? Wehrlein defends the inside. Vettel flicks it back to the inside. Now he caught the grass there, but that was beautifully held there from Sebastian Vettel, and up into 6th place goes the EMR driver. Vettel up into 6th place, and well, I was kind of worried there because Vettel would clip the grass there going into there, but was able to hold it off, and no contact made there. Vettel up into 6th place. Next target for him is Brendan Hartley in the monster car, and pretty much similar to what Vettel did in real life at the Spanish Grand Prix last year when he was passing Valtteri Bottas. So very similar there as far as they're concerned. So Vettel clearly pretty much a master when it comes to putting 2 wheels on the grass to make an overtake, and Alonso did it back in 2005 at the Japanese Grand Prix in Formula 1 when he passed I think it was Mark Webber in the Williams down at turn 1, put 2 wheels on the grass to get the move done. And well, there's nothing illegal about that. That is just a pure overtake there. So now Vettel now then going through towards turn 1, and now trying to close up onto Hartley if he can. He's got 2.3 seconds in front of him to gain onto Brendan Hartley's monster car. So that's that really. As meantime, Kimi Räikkönen looking quite lonely in 2nd place as Hülkenberg is in for his 2nd and final stop then. So Hülkenberg is in. He's fueled now to the end of the race. Let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for him, and where is he going to come out. In fact, Hülkenberg just passed Sainz a little earlier on. Now he's pitted a lap later after that pass. Where is Hülkenberg going to rejoin? He comes trundling down pit lane, and he'll soon flick off the pit limiter. And Hülkenberg now then flicks it off, and he rejoins in 14th position behind Ollie Rowland, who Bottas is trying to lap. So Hülkenberg effectively already a lap down if it wasn't confirmed earlier by Hamilton lapping him. And so that's that really. Meantime, here's Alonso again trying to make a fight back after what happened to him twice now. One on lap 1 and another one losing his front wing unseen by the cameras. So a disaster there for Fernando Alonso as he now comes up towards McLaren's now then. Through the left and right hander he will go. And Alonso now then using quite a bit of curb on the outside there then before approaching the double right-hander at Coppice as he tries to reel in an old rival of his, Ocon, for 15th place. As meantime now then Vettel starting to close up now onto Brendan Hartley as they go out of the old hairpin, using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching McLaren's. And let's see if Sebastian is able to get up close to him now then as he flicks the car in through the left and right hander of McLaren's, using a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the double right hander on the track. And Vettel now then will try and get hold of Brendan Hartley, and it should be quite a battle between Hartley and Vettel, both of them running Mercedes powered engines, and I think both of them know each other quite well from their Red Bull days. But Vettel now then putting that aside, he's trying to now get hold of Hartley if he can as they come up towards the Melbourne hairpin, the second to last corner on the track. And out of the corner they go now then before approaching the final corner I should say. And is Vettel going to get up close to the backside of Brendan Hartley? Out of the final corner and on to the pit straight we go. And Vettel, let's see what the gap is like now then between him and Hartley, as we're on lap 45 of 76 here in Donington. We now have specifically, I think now 32 laps remaining in the Grand Prix, and I didn't quite catch that, guys, because I was trying to think of the laps they're looking up. So I do apologise there. 2.2 seconds is the gap between Verline and Vettel there, then 2.3 between Vandoorne and his teammate at this stage now then. As meantime, Hamilton now on lap 46, so 31 laps remaining now then in the Grand Prix. Hamilton still leading the way at the present moment as he tries to pull a lap now on Charles Leclerc. And you can definitely tell how similar the Shadow and Etihad livery is. I think that was the intention really with Shadow, considering that they've been nicknamed the Etihad B team. I think that was kind of the intention of them having a similar paint scheme to what Etihad run, but having their own pattern on the side, whereas Etihad go with theirs as well. So I think that was kind of the aim really between those two, but nothing wrong with it, of course. As now heading down towards the chicane we go, as Hamilton will try and pull a lap on Leclerc if he can. Leclerc spitting out sparks going into the fog TSs. As now, as you can see, Alonso trying to unlap himself from Magnussen as he tries to catch up to Ocon. Alonso trying to unlap himself if he can, going up through McLaren's now then as they go through the right-hander, using quite a bit of curb on the outside there then, as we're getting close to the 4:30 mark now then, through the double right-hander at Coppice now then. And now, as you can see, we head down towards the chicane. And so will Alonso try and unlap himself down then in the form of Kevin Magnussen? He's going to try and look to the inside into the Foggy TSs. Whether Magnussen will let him go, I don't know. And no, he won't. Magnussen not allowing Alonso to unlap himself there then. So this will cost him time in trying to close up onto Esteban Ocon. As Alonso now then flicks the car through the Melbourne hairpin. So that's that for him. As down the inside goes Vettel, and he takes the place. Vettel up to 5th place. He gets the move done on Brendan Hartley. So now Vettel is into the top 5. And now he's got a lot of time to gain, because his next target is Kevin Magnussen, who's just coming down the pit straight. So that's a lot of time that Vettel has to gain if he wants to grab 4th by the end of the race. As Vettel now up into P5, getting the move done on Brendan Hartley in the monster car. It seemed pretty easy, but that's that for him really. Meantime now then, Hamilton leading the race, coming up to lap Charles Leclerc, and whether Charles will find himself in that car one day, we will wait and see in the future, as they just come out of the chicane before approaching the Melbourne hairpin. And Hamilton now then continuing to dominate this race at the moment, and around about 3 laps time we should be expecting the rest of the 2 stops to make their stop. Clearly Hülkenberg made an early second and final stop, so that's why he's got a lot of fuel going on now in the tank to get him to the end of the Grand Prix. As they now head down the pit straight, Hamilton now then starts lap 48 of 76 here at Donington. So we now have 29 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. 29 laps remaining for Lewis Hamilton to take victory in front of his home fans. Although it is not the British Grand Prix, it's still the UK. It is Donington Park. It's located in the East Midlands, either in Derbyshire or Leicestershire. I think it's just situated in between those. It is in Leicestershire from what I understand, but I think it's got a Derbyshire postcode from what I understand, which is why there's that little bit of confusion about where it's located. And some people have said it's in Nottinghamshire, this track is, for some odd reason, just because because of the fact that the track is next door to East Midlands Airport. A lot of people have said that East Midlands Airport is in Nottinghamshire, so that's why this also gets fed into Nottinghamshire as well. But I honestly believe it is in Leicestershire, this track is, not in Derbyshire or Nottinghamshire, despite those 2 things about being in those 2 shires instead. So now through towards the right hander now then goes Lewis Hamilton, and in a few laps time we should be expecting him to pit for his second and final stop in about a couple of laps, because he's now got 4.5 litres now left in the tank as he heads down the pit straight before approaching the first corner, which is Redgate. As we've got somebody in the pits, it is Carlos Sainz Jr. who's in for his second and final stop of the afternoon as he tries to hunt down teammate Charles Leclerc to get himself into the top 10. So let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for Carlos Sainz Jr. as a quick wipe of the visor, a change of tyres and some more fuel onto the car. He's made quite a decent comeback despite only qualifying 17th on the grid after being held up by several traffic on his four flying laps. Several amounts of traffic on his 4 flying laps, I should say. Sainz now then finishes his pit stop. Where is he going to rejoin as Ocon is into the pits as Alonso tries to chase him down? Sainz rejoins in 13th, just behind Oliver Rowland, as Ocon is in. And that's that then really. Is also in his next. Out goes Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg is out of the race. What has happened to Nico Hülkenberg? And there he is. He's had a crash down the last corner. But I think he must have had a problem because it said something on his steering wheel there. I could be wrong, but we will wait and see on that. And let's quickly see if we can get onto him. And yeah, it was a water leak. He just smashed it into the water and discussed. Nico Hülkenberg out of the race. And we're down to 17 runners. What a shame. It was looking to be a good weekend, but it all got ruined on the early laps of the race, and he just never really recovered from it. Hülkenberg out, and we're down to 17 runners. His teammates now the only hope of getting points for EMR in 5th place, as Vettel now into the pit. Speaking of which, for his scheduled stop, as he gets a clear wipe of the visor, a change of tyres, and some more fuel on the car. And where is Vettel going to rejoin then after this pit stop? And it is an 11.5 second stop from the EMR mechanics. Where is Vettel going to be joining us into the pits? Also comes race leader Lewis Hamilton for his scheduled stop as well. The race leader is in. Räikkönen, I think, should temporarily lead the race as a result. As Hamilton now then finishes off his pit stop now then. As Vettel rejoined in 10th, just in front of Giovinazzi, who's yet to stop. Hamilton, meantime, I think Bottas might also go through as well. So I think Hamilton will rejoin around about 3rd place. So let's see. Yeah, through goes Bottas. So Hamilton rejoins in 3rd, just behind Valtteri Bottas's Dorado there. So Hamilton, there he is in 3rd. And anybody else expected to pit quite soon? Alonso not expected to pit for another 6 laps or so. As anybody else planning to pit? Yes, Brendan Hartley coming into the pit this lap. As is Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein closing up onto Hartley as these two battle for a provisional 6th place. It will be 6th by the pit because Vettel was in front of them and has made his pit stop. So it's going to be a battle between the Monster and AMP mechanics. They're just literally right next door to each other in the garages. So into the pits comes Hartley, and also in is Stoffel Vandoorne. So the Monster and AMP mechanics are getting ready for the pair of them to make their pit stops. So let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for Brendan Hartley. As in front of him there is Pascal Wehrlein. As a quick wipe on the visor there for Brendan Hartley. Where is he going to rejoin then after this stop? AMP hoping to get their man out in front of the Monster now then. And he finishes off his stop. It's an 11.6 second stop, and Hartley still out in front of Wehrlein. Wehrlein unable to get the jump on Hartley there as a result, so he remains behind as Räikkönen will be pitting at the end of lap 51. Hartley now then rejoins in 10th, and Wehrlein is going to rejoin in 11th. So that's where they rejoin, as Vettel now up in 8th place, back in the points. And so Hartley and Wehrlein losing a lot of time now to Vettel, as Vettel has pulled away since he passed those two a little bit earlier on in the race. But as mentioned, Räikkönen, the temporary race leader in the Suomi, is pitting at the end of this lap as he's looking good to get a podium here. As Magnussen, his teammate, is in. He's currently lining up in 4th place. So far, Suomi looking to have a good weekend with both of their guys looking to finish 2nd and 4th on the road. It'll be a brilliant weekend for the Finnish team ran by Jiri Mata. As now Räikkönen heads down the back straight towards the quick left-right chicane. And Räikkönen now then approaching the Fokker TS's now then, before he'll be making his pit stop this lap now then, before flicking it in for the left and right-hander. As there is Hartley, as Wehrlein tries to close him up behind. These two look to be battling for probably the remainder of this race now then, as Räikkönen goes through the second to last corner. Vandoorne in for his scheduled stop, so Vandoorne in for a pit stop. Is now into the pits comes Kimi Räikkönen into the pits for his second and final stop of the afternoon in the Suomi. And I don't know if Bottas is going to be going in as well or staying out to lead the race, as now Räikkönen pulls into his box now then, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, as he's looking good for 2nd place in this race. Let's see how quick the Suomi mechanics can get Räikkönen out. And there is Bottas, in fact. So Bottas is in. Hamilton now then retakes the lead from the race as a result of Bottas makes his stop. Räikkönen, where's he going to rejoin then after this pit stop? So Räikkönen now then flicks off the pit limiter, And Räikkönen rejoins in second place, just in front of a lapped Carlos Sainz Jr. there. Luckily, the pair of them didn't make contact, and now that is actually Alonso's next target, in fact. So Räikkönen giving Alonso a helping hand in holding up Sainz. Now Alonso trying to chase after his fellow compatriot for P13 in the race. The two Spaniards outside the points at the moment as they go up the hill towards the McLaren's now then, and Alonso fancying his chances now then on Carlos Sainz. Meantime, Bottas has finished his pit stop. He rejoins in third as now Alonso looks to the inside of Carlos Sainz Jr. Will he get the move done? Down the inside he goes, and Sainz makes it easy for him. Through he will go, but in fact Sainz, no, still sticking with him now. This is Sainz and Alonso, the two Spaniards going side by side, but Alonso just has the edge because of the grunt of the BMW engine, and Alonso up into 13th place, getting the move done there on Carlos Sainz Jr., but still going defensive just in case Sainz trying to find a way back through Charles Leclerc. Sainz's teammate is into the pit, so I wonder if Leclerc might get leapfrogged now then by Alonso, as Ricardo was also in as well, still in front of Leclerc as it was earlier. As through goes Vandoorne and Verline, as Verline has he passed? Where's Hartley? Hartley's where is Hartley on the track? So, oh no, there's Hartley. So that's really unseen by the cameras. In fact, then Vandoorne has actually leapfrogged Verline. I do apologise for that. So Vandoorne now finds himself into the points. He pushes Verline outside the points. So that's that really. As Leclerc rejoins in 11th, a long way in front of Alonso, so he didn't get leapfrogged there then. But I wouldn't be surprised if Alonso starts chasing him down quite soon in this Grand Prix then. Roland finishes off his pit stop in the monster car. Let's see where he's going to rejoin in after this pit stop, as he will flick off the pit limiter and he rejoins in 14th position. And Magnussen's up to 4th again, so that's that for him. Meantime, there's Sebastian Vettel as he tries to hunt down in these remaining 25 laps to try and hunt down Kevin Magnussen for 4th place if he can. As into the pits in the background goes Antonio Giovinazzi, so everybody should be back in the points. So Verline actually should still be in the points then as a result. So both AMPs looking good for a double points finish at this stage. Giovinazzi now then being served in his box. And let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for Antonio. And where is he going to rejoin then? It is a 10.7 second stop from the Bud Light line mechanics, and let's see where Gio is going to rejoin, as he will soon flick off the pit limiter. And so let's see now then, and he flicks off the pit limiter and he rejoins in 11th place there then in front of Fernando Alonso. So it's not Leclerc that's Alonso's next target, it's now Antonio Giovinazzi, because he's rejoined in 11th behind Charles Leclerc, who's now in 10th place at the moment in the shadow. So that's that for him really, as he goes up through McLaren's and through the right hander he will go. And that's that really as far as he's concerned, as they now come up towards the chicane, as Vandoorne now pulls a gap on Verline as he tries to hunt down Hartley himself. Vettel now coming up to a bit of traffic as they go through the Melbourne hairpin on the track. And so now up towards the final corner, Vettel trying to lap Ed Jones as much as possible in this race now then. There's Lewis Hamilton coming up to lap Daniel Ricciardo, it seems, in this race. As here comes Fernando Alonso. He's got Kimi Räikkönen in front of him, so hopefully he could possibly use him as a tow perhaps to try and get hold of Giovinazzi, who Giovinazzi's just only gone into the Melbourne hairpin, so Alonso's not that far back compared to Antonio Giovinazzi so far in this race. So Alonso coming out of the Melbourne hairpin there then. As at this rate, I think Hamilton will now take the lead in the championship, as Alonso in fact is going back in because he didn't have enough fuel to get to the end. So more disaster there then for Fernando Alonso. It looks like a top 10 could be out of the cut, well in fact points I should say. And Alonso now then realising he didn't have enough fuel, he's back in the pits for his third now stop of the afternoon, and showing how much his race has been ruined as a result. A 10.5 second stop from the Etihad mechanics, and let's see where Alonso is going to rejoin them with a fresh set of tyres and fuel. And he's just waiting to flick off the pit limiter, and let's see where Alonso will rejoin. He rejoins in 14th place behind Oliver Rowland, so that's where he rejoins. And so that's that for him really, as Vettel finally puts a lap on Jones. So that's that. Any battles to look at the moment? It doesn't appear like it. Well, the only one that's happening is probably going to be Alonso and Rowland, because already Alonso's now on the backside of Ollie Rowland as they go up towards McLaren's. So now towards the left and right-hander we will go. Alonso on the backside now then of Roland. Will he get the move done up in towards Coppice corner, where we've seen a lot of overtakes being done in this race. Alonso down the inside of Ollie Roland. Roland has to give him the space, and Alonso gets the move done up into 13th place. Goes the three-time champion Fernando Alonso, as he will now approach the chicane now then. Alonso now then going up towards the quick left-right chicane on the track, and through they go then out of the corner, using a bit of curb on the outside. And as you can see now then, Vettel going through the double right-hander on the track, as he's currently in 5th place at this stage, as he will now approach the chicane, as we're now on, well, Hamilton will soon be starting. In fact, I think Hamilton is on this lap now then. In fact, I could be wrong. Yes, he is. Hamilton now then on lap 56 of 76 now then. So we have 21 laps to go in this European Grand Prix here at Donington. And so far, it has been quite an interesting race, it must be said. Not much in terms of what's been going on at the front, but most battles that have happened on track have been quite good. So I guess a lot of people have been proved wrong by the fact that there wasn't going to be any overtakes, because we've had quite a lot in this race, it must be said. So that's that really. So now go through the quick left-right chicane before approaching the Melbourne hairpin, which is the second to last corner on the track. Out of the corner now then, heading up towards the final corner. And so now in towards the final corner we will go, as Hamilton tries to put a lap on Daniel Ricciardo in front of him at the moment. So that's that, as now we head down the pit straight. And now 20 laps remaining for Lewis Hamilton. We're on lap 57 of 76 now then here at Donington. Hamilton continuing to lead the way out in front of this stage. So that's that really. Is now we go through McLean's now then. Vandoorne trying to close up onto Hartley if he can, but so far it doesn't appear to be working out for the Belgian, as he just goes through the left and right-hander on the track, using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching the double left-hander at double right-hander at Coppice. And so that's that then really. Now Hamilton tries to put a lap on Daniel Ricciardo if he can, heading out of the corner towards the back straight in towards the chicane. And so that's that then really. Up towards the chicane we go, and now Hamilton's now going to put a lap on Daniel Ricciardo. Does so with ease, no problems there. So Hamilton gets through on there. And I wonder if Daniel Ricciardo will be considered to drive the Etihad tomorrow in the mid-season test. Who knows really. And but I would imagine that there are some spare chassis over there at the Red Bull Ring, because I think it would be near impossible to get all the cars freighted over to Red Bull Ring that quickly, even though it is in Europe. But I would think that would be a bit of an impossible task. So I would presume that there are some spare cars over there, some more cars over at the Red Bull Ring to accommodate that. So now Hamilton through towards the right-hander he will go, and we now on lap 58 of 76 now then. 19 laps remaining. He's got a 7.9 second lead in front of Kimi Räikkönen at the moment, who's currently occupying second place at this stage. Here's Fernando Alonso in 13th. His next target will be Carlos Sainz again in the shadow. So whether he'll be able to catch up to him though within these last 19 laps, we will wait and see, as Sainz goes through the crane of curves before approaching the old hairpin, and he uses quite a bit of curb on the outside. Up the hill we go then towards McLean's, and a bit of sparks coming off the back of the car now then for Carlos Sainz, as he will now come out of the corner using a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander now then. And Sainz now then flicking it in before approaching the next chicane. Up towards the quick left-right chicane now then of the Fokker S's. As a little bit of curb used there for Carlos Sainz, as he will now approach the second to last corner, which is the Melbourne hairpin. And Sainz now then currently in 12th place, as Alonso, his fellow compatriot, tries to hunt him down. Magnussen now then putting a lap on Ollie Roland, and does so with ease there then. As Vettel still a long way behind Magnussen. At this rate, it looks like Vettel will have to settle for P5. It looks like he just hasn't got the pace of the Dane in this race to catch up to him for 4th place. So it looks like 5th looks to be on the cards now then for Sebastian Vettel. It's the maximum he could probably hope for unless something happens in front of him, as Vettel now puts a lap on Scott Dixon's Mars Grand Prix car there then. So through will go Sebastian Vettel. So that's that for him really. And Vandoorne still struggling to close up onto Brendan Hartley at the moment. He just hasn't got the pace to keep up with him at the moment at this stage to go through the fog TS's. And so out of the corner now, and then we go up towards the Melbourne hairpin. We will go. So here comes Lewis Hamilton using quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the second to last corner. And coming out of the second to last corner up towards the final corner then goes Lewis Hamilton, and he will be starting lap 60 of 76. So we will have 17 laps to go here at Donington for Lewis Hamilton as he heads down the pit straight now then. Hamilton starting his 60th lap of 76 as he now heads through Red Gate now then for the 60th time today. And so that's that really. As Vettel still 5th at the moment as things have sort of quieted down a bit now in this race. And as you can see, Alonso still not close enough. Everybody kind of separating themselves out just a little bit then. So if you only just joined us, we're now on lap 60 of the race. Here is what the leaderboard looks like then here at Donington. It's Hamilton who leads from Räikkönen in 2nd. It is then Bottas 3rd, and then Magnussen 4th, with Vettel 5th, and then Hartley 6th, Vandoorne 7th, Verline 8th, Ricciardo in 9th, Leclerc in 10th, Giovinazzi 11th, Sainz in 12th, Alonso down in 13th, with Rowland in 14th, Ocon in 15th, Dixon in 16th, and Jones in 17th. We've had 5 retirements, which were Nico Hülkenberg, Jean-Louis Verne retired a little earlier on, as did Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez because of a crash. And the other retirement, I believe, was trying to think of the other retirement was. It was trying to think who it was now. It'll come to me eventually. Oh, was it? Yeah, it was Grosjean, I believe it was, that retired as well. Yeah, Romain Grosjean was the other retirement of the race. So that's that really. Meantime, Lewis Hamilton, 16 laps remaining. He's now coming up to the back of the 2 AMPs now to lap him as he goes out of turn 1 now then before going around the crane of curves. And Hamilton now then trying to put a lap on Vandoorne if he can. Sorry, Verline, because Vandoorne's in front of Pascal at this stage as they go through the old hairpin. Up the hill they go then towards McLean's. And as they flick the car in through the left and right hander now then they go. And now coming out of the corner before approaching the double right hander. And so Hamilton now then trying everything he can to get hold of Vandoorne in this race before approaching the quick left-right chicane at Fogarty as he tries to put a lap on him now then as he continues to lead the way out in front at the moment. Meantime, the 2 Mars Grand Prix cars look to be separated, but it looks like they're going to be finishing the race. I'm not trying to jinx them there, but does look like that at the moment. So far the team has been struggling with reliability since Porsche has been back in the series for the first time since season 2 with Astro Racing, for the first 5 races of course. But obviously it was going to be a tricky ride, and as mentioned back in Australia when Andy Graham was in the press conference, he said this is a long-term plan. They aren't going to expect something straight away from the team. Maybe from season 5 you could expect something, especially with the new regulation changes coming in next season, which will see the introduction of V12 engines in place of the V8 and the V10s, which aim to try and shake up the order, shake up the pecking order in IFMC, and hopefully get some different champions in if we can. So we go through McLean's now then on the track, using quite a bit of curb on the outside there then before approaching the double right hander at Coppice. And at the moment Jones 17th, there he is at the moment. Meantime Alonso looking lonely in 13th. Sainz is up in McLean's at the moment. Alonso's still got a lot to go on at the moment. It's been a disappointing race for Alonso, must be said. Lap 1, ran out of road at the old hairpin as a result of battling with Lewis Hamilton for the lead of the race. Ran out of road and spun towards the back of the pack. He then lost his front wing on scene by the cameras. We're not sure if he just went off and smashed it into the wall, probably at McLean's, because there was nobody else who had damage as well, or dropped back a few places, so we presumed it was a driver error from Fernando Alonso, and then he had to pit and then that was that really. And now finds himself down in 13th along with back, and it looks like it's going to be a pointless race for Fernando Alonso. Disappointing for him, and we're looking to move on to the United States Grand Prix next weekend at COTA. So that'll be that then really, where in IndyCar, IFMC IndyCar, where it was first used for IFMC, there was a bit of carnage, and hopefully we won't get that much carnage. Hopefully an exciting race, as COTA has proved to be a popular track among many, amongst a lot of fans and even team bosses here. Everybody here is a fan of COTA, and considering it's probably one of the best tracks that the United States has had to offer for F1, and so hopefully we will get a good race. Hopefully not as chaotic as IndyCar. I'm not saying that because I don't like chaos. I do, but not that sort of chaos that we had in IndyCar. So we've got a yellow flag. Why we got a yellow flag? And it's Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi has gone off at McLaren's. Alonso has gained a place. He'll move up to 12th. And there it is. He's done a similar thing to what Romain Grosjean did a little earlier on. But unlike Grosjean, he doesn't bin it into the wall. He spins at McLaren's. And, well, he drops a few places as a result. And Giovinazzi finds himself looking for a gap in the traffic. There was Alonso going through there then, and Giovinazzi looking for a gap, which he does, and rejoins in 13th position, and but a costly error there for the Italian, and well, that's that for him really, as so that now lifts Sainz up into 11th place and Alonso up to 12th, so a place gain for the pair of them, but still not points, which is what they would have hoped for around here, as they just go around the second to last corner. So Bottas is currently lining up in 3rd place at the moment, looks to try and pull a lap on the Spaniard. There's a double lock up there from Bottas, showing he still feels he can push out to try and get Räikkönen, who's just come out of the red gate of turn 1, as he's got a 10.8 second gap between himself and Valtteri Bottas. Is that what it says on Bottas's screen? Yes, it does. 10.8 seconds is the gap between the pair of them now then. But that's still quite a long way off. I think Bottas will have to hope for a miracle to try and close up to Räikkönen by the end of the race and try and grab 2nd place off his fellow compatriot, as now Bottas goes up the hill towards McLaren's, as they flick the car in for the left and right-hander on the track, as a bit of curve is going to be used on the outside there, and now towards the double right-hander at Coppice. And so far occupying the final podium place. Magnussen nowhere near to attack, but he's looking good for 4th anyway. So meantime now then, we've now got a fight for 6th place because of all this traffic. Hartley trying to lap Jones. It has put Vandoorne now a lot closer now to the Kiwi, but Hamilton at the same time trying to lap him, as Hamilton now has 12 laps remaining in the Grand Prix. We are on lap 65 of 76 here at Donington. As they go out of Redgate, Vandoorne now trying to see if he can find a way through on Brendan Hartley in this race as they go through the crane of curves now then, for them at least, the 64th time today. Hamilton now then trying to pull a lap on Stoffel Vandoorne, and Vandoorne making it a little bit harder for Hamilton considering how narrow it is going down through the craners and into the old hairpin, but Hamilton puts a lap on Vandoorne, and he'll be hoping, because he's lost time to Hartley, we'll be hoping that Hamilton will be able to help Vandoorne out in trying to hold up Hartley, because Vandoorne's still sticking with him. But I'd saying that, Wehrlein now is all over the backside of Vandoorne, so it might not have helped him out at all. Wehrlein now looking for an opportunity to pounce on his teammate as they go down the back straight. Will Wehrlein get the move done on Stoffel Vandoorne down towards the Fogarty S's? Vandoorne goes defensive, can feel the pressure from his teammate, and Wehrlein not close enough to pounce. Vandoorne keeping hold of the place for the time being as they go through the chicane. And now out the corner we go now then towards the Melbourne hairpin. And so that's that, as unable to dive it down the inside that time around. Vandoorne still keeping up with Hamilton. Vandoorne hoping that Hamilton can help him out in trying to hold up Hartley so he can have a shot at him for 6th place. Same with Wehrlein as well, who's keeping in touching distance now with teammate Vandoorne as they go out of the final corner now then towards the first corner on the track at Redgate. And now in towards the first corner we go. And now using quite a bit of curve on the outside there then, through Craners, and they head down the hill. Hartley now then getting stuck behind that bit of traffic in the form of Ed Jones, And these two were fighting towards the back of the field, the Monster and the Mars car. But considering how much Monster has come about since Daniel Makama has upgraded, it appears that Monster are now in a place where they can fight amongst the midfield and possibly at the bottom end of the points on races that suit their car. So now towards the double right-hander at Coppice. Hartley trying to pull a lap on Jones if he can. As meantime, the two AMPs still scrap it out for 7th place now. Then Verline trying to get into the slipstream with Stoffel Vandoorne, but I don't think Verline is close enough to make a pass on Vandoorne this time around as they come up towards the chicane. So through the left and right-hander we will go. And using quite a bit of curb on the outside. Will Verline try and dive it down the inside into the Melbourne hairpin? No, he won't. He will tuck back for now. As now Hamilton's onto the back of Hartley as he tries to pull a lap on the keyway. And when he crosses the line, he'll only have 10 laps remaining in the Grand Prix. As now Hamilton now then trying to put a lap on Brendan. And Brendan having none of it at this stage. As they come down towards turn 1. Hamilton now then. As coming out of Redgate they go through the crane of curves. And now through the left-hander we go before approaching the old hairpin. And now up the hill towards McLean's, and Hartley still trying everything he can to lap Jones, but he'll have to be aware of Hamilton as well as they go up towards McLean's now. Then Hamilton looking to pull a lap on Hartley if he can. Hartley now trying to lap Jones. Out goes Esteban Ocon, and it looks like it's up at Coppice where it's happened. Ocon is out of the race, and there it is at the exit of Coppice. He's got a water leak. Both Martini's day has come to a close. Ocon out of the race, and we're down to 16 runners as a result. And well, that's the end of Ocon's race as a result. And well, that really is now. Hartley and Hamilton now put a lap on Ed Jones, it appears, and as a result, the AMP is unable to take full advantage. Luckily, for Hamilton's sake, he put a lap on Jones before they reached the yellow flag area there, because that would have been an investigation worthwhile. But luckily for him, he just had his nose in front of Jones before they got to the yellow flag area. So for him, at least, that's that. As the whose lockup was that? In fact, from there, and so that's pretty much that then, really. As they go up towards the second to last corner down on the track, as Verline and Vandoorne now trying to lap Jones themselves. Well, like Verline tried to get a little bit racy there with Vandoorne in front. So that's that really as they go out of the Melbourne hairpin. Up towards the final corner then we go. And so up towards the final corner then goes Pascal Verline. And Vettel now then going through McLean's as he's currently finding himself in P5 at this stage as they go up towards the double right-hander at Coppice. So now we will go up towards the quick left-right chicane at this stage. And now let's see, there's a Hamilton Vettel. Why did I call him Hamilton? Sparks coming off the back of his car as they'll now go up towards the hairpin. And so that's that then, really. Verline still stuck behind Vandoorne at this stage of the race now then as they go towards the double right-hander at Coppice. And so that's that then, really, as far as he's concerned, as they now come down towards the chicane on the track. And I thought for a minute there, because I was looking at some messages on Twitter there from another chat, yeah, just in case somebody mentioned something, as Verline now then going up towards the second to last corner, getting up close now to the back of Vandoorne. Hamilton still trying to find a way through on Brendan Hartley in this race as they go up towards the final corner. And onto the pit straight we go. As now going up towards turn 1 we will go on the track at Redgate. As still Verline stuck behind Vandoorne at this stage. Hamilton now on lap 69 of 76, so we now have 8 laps remaining in this European Grand Prix as Hamilton goes through the crane of curves and now up towards the old hairpin on the track, using quite a bit of curb on the outside there then, so they now come up through the as they come up now then through the what's the word, the McLaren's there as now up towards Coppice. As he tries to pull up on Hartley. Hartley still not being lapped by Hamilton. As a result, there's now a bit of a gap now between Hartley and the two AMPs who are fighting it amongst themselves for P7. Verline now, can he get a run on Vandoorne up in towards the Foggy TSs now then on the track. In towards the left and right hander we go now then. Down towards the corner. And Verline not close enough that time around to make a pass on him there then as they go up towards the Melbourne hairpin. For them at least their 68th time. So Hamilton now then up towards the left-hander on the track, and coming out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go, and Hamilton now then starts lap number 70 of the race line, and 7 laps remaining for him, and he's got a 6.7 second gap because Räikkönen has taken full advantage of the fact that Hamilton's had to deal with this traffic, but Räikkönen will have to come up to the same bit of traffic, so I don't think Räikkönen is going to get anywhere near them at this stage now. Then as they go through Craners now then goes Kimi Räikkönen as he's looking good for P2 in this race as he uses a little bit of curb on the outside before approaching McLaren's, and now through towards the left and right hander we go, and so now in towards the double right hander at Coppice, and so now out of the corner we go. Hamilton now then has finally put a lap on Hartley, and now the two AMPs will try and close up. Verline looks to have lost a bit of time now to teammate Vandoorne, and so their battle for 7th place has come to a halt at this stage as they now come up towards the Melbourne hairpin. As Vandoorne tries to get hold of Hartley now. They're through the second to the last corner goes Stoffel Vandoorne, and he will now head down this little run before approaching the final corner. Hamilton goes through the final corner to start lap 71 and 76, with 6 laps remaining for Lewis Hamilton. We're just 2 minutes away now then from the 5 o'clock mark, as now Hamilton starts lap 71 of the race now then, so 6 laps to go for Lewis Hamilton. There's Räikkönen in the background, look, shows how much time Hamilton lost in the traffic. So let's see what the gap is like anyway between the pair of them as they go up towards turn 1, and the gap is now 6.6 seconds, so only a little bit of time Hamilton took out of him. Sorry, Räikkönen took out of Hamilton. As meantime, there's Alonso, and he's got a car between himself and Sainz at the moment. That is Bottas, who's trying to lap Sainz in front, and Alonso hoping that Bottas can help him out and trying to close up onto Sainz now then, his fellow compatriot, as they go out the red gate now then down through the Craner curves, and Alonso doing whatever he can to try and get back up through the field as he will now go up towards the old hairpin. And so now up the hill towards the quick left-right chicane of McLaren's. Through we go then through the left, and then tucking it in through and towards the right-hander. And now out the corner, using quite a bit of curb on the outside before approaching Coppice now then. Fernando sensing his chances of at least getting P11. Looks like points may be out of the question now then for the Spaniard, as the Leclerc tries to close him onto Ricardo, a fellow Etihad employee. Through the right-hander we go. So now into the final corner then goes Lewis Hamilton as he'll now head down the pit straight. And so that's that for him really, as he'll go up towards turn 1. As 5 laps now remaining for Lewis Hamilton. Through turn 1 he goes. And so 5 laps to go for Lewis Hamilton as he's now on lap 72 of 76 now then in the race. As that really. Meantime, Verline still trying to find a way through on Stoffel Vandoorne at this stage, but so far it doesn't appear to be working at the moment as they go through the old hairpin. Up the hill they go towards McLaren's, and so now towards the left and right hander, and so here we go then out the corner, and Vandoorne still trying to fend off from Verline if he can. Through towards the double right hander we will go. And Verline now then coming up towards the quick left-right chicane, and as now in towards the chicane we will go, and Verline trying everything he can to get a hold of Vandoorne. Now in saying that, both of them are now starting to close up onto Hartley, but they've only got for their end as well, 5 laps. It'll be 4 laps once they cross the line to try and get Brendan Hartley, because they've been lapped by this man. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, who starts lap 73 or 76. 4 laps remaining then for Lewis Hamilton here at Donington, as he will now approach the first corner here at Redgate. And so through the first corner he will go. As there is Räikkönen at the moment. As now Bottas still struggling to lap Sainz at this stage, and all of this is not helping Alonso in trying to get his compatriot for P11 at the moment in this race, as they come out of the final corner heading down the pit straight now then towards turn 1. And will Bottas pull a lap on him, possibly down at Craner's or maybe up towards McLean's? We will wait and see. And now through the Craner curves now then goes Valtteri Bottas as he goes through the left-hander, and Bottas now then trying to get the to get Carlos Sainz if he can, and through towards McLean's we will go, and Bottas should be able to pull a lap on him now then if he can. And so that's that then really, as Bottas now finally puts a lap on Carlos Sainz Jr. So now Alonso, can he try and pounce on Sainz if he can with the remaining 4 laps, including this one he has? Hamilton now will soon be starting lap 74 76, so we'll have 3 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, as now we go up towards the chicane. And then now through we go now then out the corner, and so now up towards the right-hander we will go. And now heading down the straight we go towards the final corner. And Alonso now then heading down the pit straight now then, and Alonso with he's only got 3 laps on his end to go, because he has been lapped by the leader Lewis Hamilton. Sainz, as you can see there, went very defensive through towards turn 1 there then. And can Alonso try and get a hold of him now that as I go through the Craner curves now that Alonso all over the backside now that Carlos Sainz Jr. heading down the hill towards the old hairpin. And Alonso can sense a chance. Will he try and maybe pop a move up at McLean's, or will Sainz probably fend him off into that corner now then as they go through in towards the left-hander Alonso down the inside, and now Sainz shutting the door on him there in towards McLean's now then as they go through out of the corner using quite a lot of curb on the outside. Alonso, can he possibly get him up into Coppers? Alonso now down the inside of Sainz. Will he get the move done? No, Sainz shutting the door on Alonso into that corner. Maybe into the Fogarty S's. Will he get the move done? Hamilton, I believe, has started his penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Alonso looks to the outside of Carlos Sainz Jr. There's enough space, but Sainz shuts that pit and keeps hold of P11 for the moment now then. Alonso getting a bit desperate, trying to find a way through on his fellow compatriot as they hop over the curves at Fogarty S's in towards the Melbourne hairpin. Sainz going very defensive into the second to last corner, rightfully so, keeping back Alonso for the moment in this race. Where is Hamilton? There he is. He's on his penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. We're on lap 75 now then of 76. He's got an 8.1 second lead in front of Räikkönen, and he looks to have got this race under control as he now tries to pull a lap on Scott Dixon's Mars Grand Prix car, which he does with ease before he goes up in towards McLean's. Dixon just slots in behind him there then, through in towards that corner now then. Meantime, back to the battle for 11th between the two Spanish drivers of Sainz and Alonso. We ride on board with the 3-time champion, who looks like he may be losing the lead in the Drivers' Championship to Hamilton, as now through towards the left-hander we go. Alonso, will he try and get the move done on Sainz? Not at the old hairpin, he won't. Maybe up through McLean's for the second time. Second try up at McLean's out at Alonso in the slipstream of Sainz. He looks to the inside. Will he get the move done on Carlos Sainz? Down the inside he goes through into there, and again Sainz able to hang in around the outside and keep hold of that position now then. Alonso getting a better exit out of the second part of McLean's. Alonso in the slipstream, he looks to the inside of Sainz. Will he get the move done this time around? Down the inside he goes, and no, again Sainz able to hang in around the outside and keep hold of the place from Fernando Alonso as they now head down towards the Fogarty S's. Will Alonso get him this time? Sparks coming out the back of the car. Sainz trying to go defensive. Sainz is going quite defensive, and he's keeping back Alonso. He doesn't care who it is. Sainz is having none of it, trying to fend off from the Etihad. Meantime, Lewis Hamilton, where is he? There he is, has started his final lap here at Donington. It's been a brilliant race for Lewis Hamilton. He started on the pole position Had a little bit of a battle with Alonso before Alonso ran out of the road of the old hairpin. He was just able to get away from a little bit of a threat from Räikkönen, and he's just been in full control of the race, and he's looking good to take victory here at Donington and give the fans what they want, a home victory here at Donington. And, well, the first legit victory Hamilton will get since the British Grand Prix of last season at Silverstone when he had those 4 in a row victories. Meantime now then, what about Sainz and Alonso? Alonso through the crane of curves down, then we go down towards the old hairpin. Alonso doing whatever he can to get hold of Sainz in this race now as they go up the hill towards McLaren's. Alonso now down the inside of Carlos Sainz. Will he get the move done? No, again Sainz shutting the door. They're even coming up to traffic in the form of Ed Jones in the Mars Grand Prix car. But meantime, here is Lewis Hamilton now, then he comes around the second to last corner, the Melbourne hairpin for the final time, up towards the final corner. It's just been the perfect race for Lewis Hamilton. Up towards the final corner we go, and it is going to be Lewis Hamilton who wins the European Grand Prix here at Donington. Congratulations to him and the Etihad racing team. Hamilton wins at home, and the fans are erupting with applause. Räikkönen is going to cross the line in second, getting a podium in the end for there. Hartley finishes 6th, a brilliant result. Verline passed Vandoorne on team on the cameras. Verline 7th, Vandoorne in 8th, Ricciardo 9th. Leclerc finishes in 10th. What's going on with Sainz and Alonso? Alonso's passed him. Alonso has got the place off Sainz at the Fog TS, as we presume, when Hamilton crossed the line. So Alonso is going to pick up 11th. Still a disappointing weekend, but at least he was able to get Sainz towards the end. Alonso will cross the line in 11th. Bottas has crossed the line to finish in 3rd in front there. Sainz 12th. Giovinazzi 13th. Magnussen a very impressive 4th in the Suomi car in the end. A brilliant result. Suomi taking maximum points this weekend. A brilliant weekend from the Finnish team. Vettel will cross the line in 5th. A good comeback from him after what happened to him on the early laps. So he manages to feed it back up into 5th place as he got stuck behind Roland in the end. A back marker in the end. He doesn't really need to pass him now because there was nobody behind him. Anyway, Vettel will cross the line 5th behind the 14th place man, Oliver Rowland. And there you have it then. In the end, Lewis Hamilton is the winner here at Donington Park. And it's 3 in a row now for Etihad, and Hamilton gets his first legit victory since the British Grand Prix of last season. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here was the results of the European Grand Prix here at Donington Park. Lewis Hamilton won the race with Kimi Räikkönen in 2nd. Valtteri Bottas finished in 3rd with Kevin Magnussen 4th. And it was Sebastian Vettel 5th, Brendan Hartley in 6th with Pascal Wehrlein 7th, Stoffel Vandoorne 8th, Daniel Ricciardo 9th, Charles Leclerc in 10th, Fernando Alonso in 11th with Carlos Sainz Jr. 12th, Antonio Giovinazzi 13th, Oliver Rowland 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it's Scott Dixon 15th with Ed Jones, the last of the finishers, in 16th. The retirements were Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Jean-Eric Vergne and Romain Grosjean. They were the retirements of the European Grand Prix. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the race then. Let's have a look and see who set the fastest lap. And it was Lewis Hamilton with a 1 minute 12.355. So it was pole position, fastest lap and the race victory for Lewis Hamilton. He was 1/10 clear of 2nd place man Kimi Räikkönen in the end there then. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the European Grand Prix here at Donington. I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been quite an exciting race, it must be said. A very unexpected exciting race as well. Not the best we've seen this season, but still proved a lot of people wrong when it came to overtaking as well. But it's been a good race here at Donington, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. But that is it. I hope you enjoyed it. But we're not done with live streams this weekend just yet, because tomorrow we have the mid-season test for the top class at Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring. Some teams are still yet to send me their drivers for tomorrow. Remember, any team bosses watching the stream, you have to choose either between your drivers, your current drivers and your current test drivers, just like it was in the pre-season test. Only one day of the mid-season test tomorrow at the Red Bull Ring. So that's that then, really. But that is it then, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. The podium for the top class is coming your way straight after this. But until then, I'm in JWF1. Thank you very much for watching. And if I don't see you for the mid-season test tomorrow at 4 PM BST at the Red Bull Ring, I will see you guys next weekend at the United States Grand Prix at Austin at the Circuit of the Americas. Not Watkins Glen. It's our first visit to the Circuit of the Americas for the top class. IndyCar's been there, and now it's the top class's turn. The GP2 and GP3 will not be there for the next 2 weeks at United States and Mexico. So for the next 2 weeks, it will just be the top class, just to let you know, let you aware. But until then, that's been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. Apologies for the technical problems during the stream. just like yesterday, but it wasn't as bad as yesterday, of course. Until then, I've been JD1. Thank you for watching, and I'll either see you guys tomorrow for the mid-season test at Spielberg or next weekend at the United States Grand Prix at COTA. Until then, take care and enjoy the podium.